Annyeonghaseyo 여러분, 여러분이세요. My name is AJ, and welcome back to Shadow Spin Reacts, where we are continuing with Season 1, Episode 3 of Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes, also known as Squid Game. Now, if you haven't seen this yet, you should go watch it on Netflix first and then come back, because we are going to be cutting up quite a bit for copyright. Also, you can go ahead and check out my Patreon where you can get updates for what I'll be doing on the channel. You can also vote in the polls, get content up to 3 weeks early, get my full uncut reactions, or you can just hang out with me here on YouTube, whatever floats your boat. But yes, so we've got people voluntarily going back into this game now. I was actually not expecting that they were going to have an out. So in episode 1, organization obviously completely evil. Didn't let people know what they were getting involved in, did not let them know their lives were on the line, shot them in cold blood. They had people that were not even dead yet that they nailed into coffins and put in a crematorium. Like, you can't, there's completely evil. And they're also taking advantage of, like, the most desperate people that they can find. That being said, people are choosing to go back in. Now, I get it, honestly, on some level, because a lot of the people we've seen have their backs up against a wall and are in a place where they feel like they're going to die outside of the games. Like, they're already in a position where they're not safe. These are the main group of people that we've seen are not people who have a safe life to go back to. You got one guy who's basically got loan sharks that have already had him sign away his physical rights, which would never hold up in court because you can't sign a form saying it's okay if somebody murders you. That's not actually a thing that will ever hold up in a court of law. Just about anywhere in the world, I don't think. You've got the one defector from North Korea who is trying to bring her family over. She's in a very tricky situation. A very, very, very tricky situation. However, what she's not considering is if something happens to her. Like, yes, I understand she wants to bring her parents over, but if something happens to her, there won't be anybody left to take care of her younger brother. So, I get that she feels like her back's against a wall, but she's also making a very bad decision even for the family that she has. The one older gentleman, he's like, I'm living on the streets anyway, and I'm gonna die anyway. I don't really know what he's planning to, like, I guess he's hoping that if he gets the money that he can have better medical care and at least enjoy the last bit of his life. I don't really know what benefit he gets from the game, other than he's not living on he is getting fed there, I guess. The mafia boss dude, he's just, he's got lots of people coming after him. The one person that, you've got the one guy who is being hunted down by the police. He created his own situation, okay? He had a good job at a good company, and he embezzled money to gamble on the stock market. He's not a terrible, like, he's not the worst human being, because you saw that he was, like, you don't know how strict that motion sensor is. You don't know if your mouth moving could have set it off. Like, that could have been a thing. His mouth moving could have gotten him killed. But he was giving advice. He was trying to help the people he could around him. So I'll give him a little credit there. He did steal other people's money to gamble and is currently facing arrest. But he's not facing death. Except for that he tried to commit suicide. But that's his own doing. And it's not like life did this to him. He did this to his darn self. And he's not considering what he's doing to his mom. And so him, I feel substantially less sympathy for, and I feel like he's substantially more stupid going back into the games. The one that is the hardest for me to watch is 199. He is my favorite character. He seems like a very, very good guy that's been put into a very bad situation. He has been taken advantage of as a foreigner in a country who probably doesn't understand what laws are available to protect him. I'm guessing he is in the country legally. Like, he would have other concerns that he was mentioning if he wasn't even there legally. And if he's there legally, that means that he has the same legal work protections. And yes, in Korea, it is actually a lot easier to fire somebody just for not being Korean. You can actually refuse to hire somebody. I don't know if that's legal or not, but it absolutely happens. But what you can't do is have them work and refuse to pay them. He's months and months and months behind on paying all of the people in that factory, at which point he's basically just using them as free labor, which is absolutely illegal in Korea. And he could have gone to a lawyer. He probably doesn't have the money to go to a lawyer, although there are lawyers who work on contingency. And I think that's a thing still in Korea where they'd be like, we're going to get you your money and you're going to give us a cut of it for doing this, especially since there's a class action lawsuit involved. Like, I don't know fully how that functions in Korea. I know how it functions in the US, but obviously this is not the US. But the point is, like, he actually could have had legal protections that he could have used to alleviate his financial situation. And what's happening now is there was a workplace accident that he feels like is going to be blamed on him. He feels like the police are going to come after him for hurting his boss, even though his boss did that to his darn self by not having proper workplace precautions. Like, that accident is entirely the boss's fault. He did not have the proper safety precautions in place, which means he was putting all of his workers... There are so many things wrong in that situation. Because all he actually did was shove his boss backwards. His boss had money, had refused to pay him, was essentially stealing from him, and he wanted to retrieve money that was rightfully his. Shouldn't have been grabbing it out of the guy's hand, should have gone to the cops at that point, but he doesn't trust the cops to be on his side. But he is fluent in Korean, so there's not a language barrier between him and the people that he needs to help him. So he does have that, but I understand the fear, and he's afraid that something's going to happen to his family, so he sends his family on ahead of time. So at least he's trying to make sure his family is safe, but he's putting himself back in the games. I'm very aggravated that he's back in the games. But I'm glad that we still have his character, but I want his character to be safe. There's that dichotomy. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now. I've rambled quite a bit. 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, and we've got the police officer following them because his brother was killed in the first round. Which he's not going to be able... He's either not going to make it all the way to the games, or he's going to be sucked into play instead of his brother. I'm sure that van didn't notice you following them all the way here. Yeah, no, that was totally inconspicuous, sir. Oh, they are loading them up on a boat. You honestly think nobody noticed? He gonna just be loose? Is he gonna try to be loose in the facility? They had to have noticed that. There's no way they didn't notice that. Well, something happened to the rest of my original recording for this. I think I accidentally bumped the spacebar and it stopped recording. But I'm still gonna go through and recap my thoughts on certain parts of this. So where do we leave off? Oh, with him breaking into the facility. All right, so this I thought was really clever when she but I also don't know how did they not notice that she put something in their pocket and then pulled it out again. But so she did a phenomenal job of getting that, and that's going to be a huge advantage to her. I think I'm really happy with 199. I'm simultaneously happy to have him, but also really unhappy that he's in here. I was so happy originally when they were forming this team. Of course, now I just finished watching the episode, so you lost my instantaneous reaction to it. But I was so happy. I was like, oh yeah, we're forming a team. Everything's gonna be great. Except for embezzling dude, is an absolute scumbag. Why would you not warn... But we'll get to that later. But yeah, initially, this was a good, I thought. We're forming a team. And of course we want you on our team, Mr. 199. Okay, let me go ahead. I'm gonna record this special so that we can have so timestamp 4504 is what I just saw. Yes, you can join too. So we've got Mr. Gangster trying to bring in our our defector girl, and she's like, F that. And then we've got, this lady, I don't even know what to call her. Like, I'm gonna call her Crazy Lady a little bit, because she is crazy. But she's trying to join their team, and they're being, like, beyond rude about it. Which, I would say come back to bite them, but it's not actually gonna come back to bite them. She's just gonna make them eat their words later. Yeah, no, he, oh my gosh, they're so gross. I want to know who this guy is, because he's clearly the one in charge. Let me go ahead and actually get that number that they just mentioned again. Out of 201 players, 187. That means only 14 people said forget that. 201 players, only 14 people valued their life more than money. Wow. That is insane. That tells you how good they were at targeting. It also tells you how bad a lot of people's situations were. Here's breakfast. On this, the breakfast looks decently sized, but as soon as it's in their hands, I'm like, this is a tiny, I would be so hungry after I was done eating this. Like, I get rice is filling, but, like, it's only a single egg, and it's not even that much kimchi. I'd be like, yo, can I have more kimchi? Yeah, if you had time to reminisce, try to figure out what the next game would be. That is impossible without information outside of this room. It's like a random guess. They can guess out of children's games. Like, that's what I would be doing right now in my spare time. I'd be like, okay, everybody, what children's games are there? Just name all of the children's games. And let's make sure we're just practicing all of the children's games as much as we can with no materials in this room. Donkatsu? Okay. Yeah, he's at a disadvantage. He doesn't even know what the games are. And even if they did play it in his country, it would have a different name. Children's games have simple rules. Okay, now we're back to the police officer dude. Which, he thankfully has clues on him so that he can try to blend in and act normally. But if you notice, everybody else is, like, dead set looking straight ahead. And he could be glancing left and right without moving his mask, but instead he's moving his whole head. I get that that's partially for the audience, but it also makes him look very suspicious. Very suspicious. Especially in here, like, I'm guessing a lot of people, the moment they're inside, they get that off of them right away. And he just, like, was so hesitant to remove his mask. You don't, you just want to smoke. Okay, so she gets them to let her go and, Alright, so here's this. So food, you can't eat food with your mask on. It's a really depressing meal. It's like all of the side dishes, but no main dish. There's no main dish. That's only side dishes. And he's like, there's a camera in the room. We don't know if they know what he's supposed to look like, so he's got to keep his back to the camera. I still think it's like somebody's praying. Like, and I still wonder, like, how those people get roped into being staff. This lady is hiding cigarettes in a place that should not be. There's addictions and then there's addictions. And the fact that you were coming back with potentially dying and what you needed so desperately was to have a smoke. Although the lighter did end up being very handy. Very, very handy. But, like, you can smell smoke. Do you think they're not going to realize that you were smoking in here and that therefore you must have a lighter? If you need anything that badly that it gives you that much of a relief to have it. She's like, okay, I'm listening. I'm listening.
너도 안 먹을래?
No.
움직이지 말고 얌전히 담배나 빨아.
Okay, so this is, yeah.
또 뭐해?
Okay.
뭐가 있는지 한번 보게.
All right. This is hilarious to me in every movie I see it in. That you get somebody, they go up into the vents. First of all, that the vents are always big enough for somebody to be in, and second of all, that they can somehow magically move silently inside of those vents instead of the clang, clang, clang. Like, you would hear it. You would hear it so badly. But instead, we've got this nice, silent vent system, and it's an air duct, too. Like, so you've got this silent air duct. It's somehow... she's not being heard in, even though she's got her shoes on and everything. Like, and she's just shout, like, you don't have to shout that. I know you're trying to, like, buy time, but you don't actually have to, like, be shouting these. You actually sound so much more you sound so much more suspicious. I'll be honest, I had no idea what the heck this is.
이제 돌아갈 시간입니다.
잠깐만 있어봐. 이제 거의 다
She's like trying so hard to speak in code to warn you that time is up. Wow.
돌아갈 시간입니다.
거기 갔다. 개새끼야! 야, 이 새끼야. 고소할 거야.
Alright. And she was smart enough to put the vent back so that there was no visible changes to be suspicious of. Oh my gosh, they are so very controlled. Their schedule is very, like, right down to when they go to sleep. Although, if they got cameras on, I don't know if that blanket is thick enough to hide the light being that bright. And don't you want the light dimmed on your phone when you're scrolling through it in the dark? But, so he's taking notes. But if those notes aren't going to anybody, like, if he gets caught and those notes haven't been sent to anybody, then that's not going to do any good at all. Alright. And this is where Traitor Scumbag overhears that she has information. So he's going to try to pull her onto his team.
너 뭐 봤어? 가면 쓴
Can't believe it actually took you a full 10 minutes just to get that outfit back on. I am curious how they get their daily assignments if he didn't know what his assignment was. Okay, we don't know who this guy is. I don't know who this guy is. Like, I've seen him multiple times. They keep highlighting him, but I don't know who this guy is. But somebody is sneaking him info. This is so creepy. It's just so very creepy. But nobody else is looking around. You're the only one that's looking around. So, like, you look suspicious, sir.
어젯밤에 어떤 여자랑 하는 얘기 들었어요. 얘기해봐요. 뭐 봤는지.
내가 왜?
탈북자라면서요.
So this is a disadvantage that she has. Like, no matter how strong she is, she hasn't necessarily played the same childhood games that they have, so she doesn't know what potential games there are to play. So she has almost no preparation. Now, they're going to explain the rules every single time, but if you know ahead of time what the rules are, you can be better prepared for it. Like, you can game plan, okay, if this is the game, then I'm doing this. If this is the game, I'm doing this. This is so creepy. I don't like the discordant recorder music that you've got going on. It bothers me. I don't. Make it stop. I almost wonder if the reason why the playground has been inflated so that it's so big is so that they have like the same perspective on it that you would have had as a kid. Because, you know, everything looks bigger when you're a kid. The thing is, he's been given information. So he actually knows what the game probably is.
동그라미 삼각형 별 우산 어디서 많이 본 거
Yeah, and you can't just be thinking, are they familiar? You think, what kids' games? Sort through the kids' games in your head.
설탕을 녹이고 있었어.
So yeah, you can see he's very clearly sure. He's very clearly sure what the game is. Why? He made me so angry. Yeah, this right here. This treacherous scum right here. Should we move as a team? Might be dangerous. We don't even know what the game is. You do know what the game is. You're fairly certain you know what the game is. And why would you withhold that information? You've got people trusting you. But, you know, the thing is, when you are embezzling money from people, sir, I get that you have a history of violating people's trust, but people get shot in this game. Like, you realize this is your team that you've put together that people get shot in, and you couldn't be bothered to say, go for the triangle? Go for the triangle, it's got straight edges. The circle is a simple shape. The problem with it is that when you break things, it's really hard to break to that shape because you have to go carefully all the way around the edge without it cutting into it. It's actually really, really not easy to do. The star is difficult because they've got the concave areas, and the umbrella is darn near impossible. Even if you get the outside, it's that space within the umbrella hook that is incredibly difficult. So if for those of you who don't know what this game is, and I've only ever seen this in Korea, I don't know if it's done anywhere else. Basically, as you saw, you've got the melted sugar. Everything, you take the sugar, you melt the sugar, and then you put it and just flatten it out, and you put a shape on it. Now, usually the shape that they're trying to go for is the star that I've seen people try to go for. But they put a shape in it that's embedded in there. And then you take, like, a sharp object, typically a needle or something, and you're trying to carefully poke out the shape without breaking the shape. You can break the stuff around the shape, but you want to leave the shape perfectly intact.
아니야.
And that's why the umbrella is difficult, because like it's really hard to get that out without accidentally breaking part of the shape. Because if you break any part of the inside of the shape, you lose. So that's why, like as you said, the triangle is easiest because it's got those flat sides. So if you dig deep enough on the perforation, then it snaps fairly easy without breaking into the shape. Oh my gosh, I just saw number 3 go like this, and I didn't realize that actually that he did that the first time through. So somebody probably took it and shook it to hear what it is and broke it before they even opened it. So what happens if you accidentally give a player a broken one? So say they checked the contents. So this is probably where you'd be like, if you had a broken one, be like, mine is already broken? So that's like your one chance to be like, mine is already broken. He knows what this is. He saw that. He's like, shoot. And you can see the panic in his... Yeah. Yep. Yes. Just the silent concentration that's happening here. The smartest thing to do if you have, like, the triangle is instead of even snapping it off like this, you have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes. Just dig the groove all the way through. I would do the same thing with the circle. I would just keep circling it. I would leave it on a flat surface, and I would just gently keep circling it and circling it and circling it until I literally cut it out without having to break it. Like, I don't understand why they're wasting time, like, breaking off those pieces on the outside, because that it seems like it's helpful because you're getting closer to the shape, but it's actually not helpful. You're just wasting time breaking off pieces. You just keep focusing on tracing the image. If that's where you're at, if that's what you're comfortable with, just do that. You've got 10 minutes. And that's why you don't want to break off the pieces earlier. Like, yeah, sorry, dude. Sorry, my dude. See, having it whole actually protects it from snapping in the middle like that. So breaking off those extra pieces, actually, every single piece that you take off makes what's left more fragile. And of course, every time someone gets shot, everybody jumps, which makes you more at risk for this. I'm sorry, I know this shouldn't be funny, but that is a ridiculous amount of blood from that one gunshot. So she did bring in a useful item. They're doing such a poor supervision job that she's just like hiding underneath, and they're not paying close enough attention to the shape, otherwise they would see that it's burned. But they really didn't specify how. I don't understand why she wants to be on his team. And that's the guy that received the note. So at this point they've got, and she's like, here's the triangle, you scum. This is actually very, very, like, I almost worried that would be considered a nick, but they're not looking that closely at it.
제 임무는 29번의 임무는 탈락자 운반이야. 왜 벌써 들어왔지? 죄송합니다. 착각했습니다. 게임이 끝날 때까지 여기서 대기해. 뭘 착각했는지 그때 들어보자.
So they all have voice modulators on as part of their mask. It's like, okay, so he's gonna get in trouble for not knowing his place. But then that begs the question, how are they supposed to find out their duties? They clearly were not told that at any point in time. Okay, but he's getting insider information from multiple people. I would almost wonder if he was a plant, but clearly he was also worried about being shot. Don't get nervous. They're all wetting their needles because that helps it go faster. Why don't you just spit on the darn thing? And the epiphany from the sweat drops. Yes. So this is the other thing that I would say is, like, if you can hold it up and you can see it, like, I would almost go from the backside a little bit. The only problem is if you had done what I said, you would not be able to pull this stunt. But it's the same concept as why you'd have the heat. Anything that's going to melt it is going to help cut through it faster. And she's like, excuse me? Hi, hello, sir. I present you a star. Okay, it would be funny, but also it wouldn't be funny if her eating it was like, and now you've broken it? And she just passed him an out. Yo, geez, they do not have much time. And the other thing is, if you keep holding it up like that, if it does fall out, it's going to shatter on the ground. But, like, all of these people are like, hold up a second. Wait, he's figured something out. And the dichotomy of, like, the music with the fact that people are just being massacred. And then the square's leaning in and he's like, what are these people doing? You didn't say how to get the shape out. You said get the shape out. And our guy always down to the wire. By the way, if you want the fastest way to get the shape out, this is the fastest way to do it. I would just leave it on the ground while I did it, like leave it in the tray so that it has something holding the shape, because I would not want to risk it accidentally snapping it. And so no matter what you have, you hold it up and be like, it's done! And if I had a tiny piece that was still attached, I would be having my finger over that tiny piece so that it looked like it was done. And when they said pass, I would put it in my mouth and eat it so that they had no evidence that I didn't.
손을 치우세요.
뒤로 돌아.
He does look like he's in high school still.
왜 이렇게 생각해?
Yeah.
명심해. 우리가 누군지 알게 되면 죽는다.
Yeah, so his position did not protect him even though he was a square. So we've got back to our cop dude who's totally not acting suspicious.
때까지 여기서 대기해.
But he's like, I'm going to trade masks with this guy. And positions with him. Alrighty. And that's where we left that. And I'm sorry that that was kind of like a recap of my thoughts more than an in-the-moment reaction, but my recording stopped recording 10 minutes into the episode, and I was like, okay, I don't want to give a fake reaction, but I also don't want to not, I was like, do I just say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't have to know. I wanted to give you my thoughts on this episode. And honestly, I literally just finished watching it like 2 minutes before, because what happened is I went to press the stop recording button and saw that it wasn't recording, went back, checked how much time was left on my video, how long the previous recording was, saw that it was only 11 minutes long, might have cursed a tiny little bit, but like I literally just watched it, so all of the emotions and stuff, those are fresh emotions, and I'm still feeling it, especially towards Mr. Trader Dude. Somebody in the comments don't explain with spoilers, because I'm not watching ahead or anything, so don't explain in terms of what's going to happen in the future, but why would anybody who does not know what the future holds and what skill sets he's going to need and what friends he's going to have and what allies he's going to have, why, when you have people that are teaming up with you and there is nothing in this game that would benefit you from eliminating them, like, there's no benefit to eliminating them. Why didn't he just tell them, hey, let's just go for the triangle? Why didn't he just say that? It would have been so easy to say that. It would have been not difficult at all to say that. It didn't benefit him. He knew, when he saw his friend go towards the umbrella, he knew he was basically handing him a death sentence. Why didn't he say anything? And not only that, but even when it was suggested, hey, we should all go to the same thing, he's like, no, that'd be too dangerous. My dude, what is going on inside your treacherous, poisonous little head? Every benefit of the doubt I gave to that character is gone. I was thinking, you know what? He stole money because he wanted to gamble. He probably thought he could make enough to give it back and then keep the profits because he's just an idiot. But no, he's just a terrible human being. And whatever sympathy I had for him is gone. He cannot be trusted. And no matter what he says or does in the future, I will never trust him ever, ever, ever again. That character is trash. That character is more trash than Mr. Mafia, who now has an ally who he will probably keep close because he's like, okay, she actually saved my life. I mocked her. She saved my life. We friends now. Like, this just, wow. I do also, I wish I had seen, and I didn't see it, but I wish I had seen whether any of the other people that started doing the licky technique, whether they actually succeeded in being done on time or not. And also, if the time runs out and you hold it up, like, does that count because you were done before time runs out? Be like, here's what I got. Or do you have to announce that you have it before time? We didn't actually see that, so I don't actually know. I don't know how I feel about this show. I feel better about it now than I felt about it in the first episode. The game still annoys me. Whoever wrote this has a twisted mind. Whoever wrote this has an incredibly twisted mind. I still don't understand what the point of it is. Like, why, even within the context of the world, I understand the whole commentary on society thing that's happening. I understand why some people who are in the position of the players might choose to participate in the game and stand by their decision up until the moment that they die, in which they all regret their decision instantly. You've noticed that? I don't understand how the staff gets roped in and how they're willing to be roped in. And considering that so many of the staff are armed with weapons, even if they feel like they have no choice at the start, they have weapons. They could actually just overthrow whoever's in charge. That's a thing that could happen. But I'm wondering how the staff gets roped in, because even their lives are on the line. Like you saw, the moment the going guy's face was revealed, he wasn't even the bottom rung. He was the next tier. Like, still, his mask was off, bang, done. I want to know the organizer of the game, in the context of this world, why is he doing this? What could possibly make somebody willing to do this and fund this? Like, there's a lot of money that went into this. Like, you got all the staff that you've got all the cars that you've got people who are fairly obedient doing this. You're putting them on a boat, taking them out to who knows where, what island thing this is on. My guess is international waters, so that it's not under the jurisdiction of any country. I'm baffled as to why this game exists in the first place. And there's no real reason that anybody could give me. Like, there's no reveal that this show can do for why the show exists in the first place and what the motivations are of the person that's running it that would make me be like, that makes sense. No, whatever motivations they reveal, I'm just gonna look at him and go, okay, you're touched in the head in ways that cannot be fixed. Because there's nothing that could possibly have happened that would ever justify this. Like, this is the kind of craziness that maybe if there was a personal connection with each person that he dragged into the game, and we were secretly finding out what the personal connection was and why each person that has been dragged in the game, like, what they had done to another human being, that would maybe make more sense to me as kind of like a revenge psychological thriller thing. But this is just like, I don't get it. It's not that I don't get the plot of Squid Game. I don't get why anybody would design, like, what is the profit? In Liar Game, I understood the profit. You were betting on human behavior, and it was basically a bunch of bored rich people who were betting on human behavior, but not technically doing much that was illegal, because all of the money that was provided during the game was provided by the company. Like, for those of you who haven't seen Liar Game, go watch the Japanese version of Liar Game, not the Korean version, the Japanese version. It's 2 seasons in the first movie. The second movie doesn't exist. We all pretend it doesn't exist. Okay? Those were puzzles that had to be solved, but that was all about the battle between humans. This is just, like, twisted for the sake of being twisted. And I'm baffled. I'm sure answers will come, especially since there's a second season, but right now I'm just primarily just baffled. And I'm happy that our core group is okay, with the exception of Embezzling Dude, and I kind of, if he dies before the end of the show, I'll feel bad for his mom, but he had it coming, because he tried to get his team, he, like, actively tried to get his team killed. He actively tried to get some of them killed, because he sent them to do things that act like anybody who did the Umbrella. Like, very few people who do the Umbrella are alive right now. I guarantee it. They didn't actually show what the percentages were, but Umbrella is mostly toast. I hate him. I officially have a character whose face I have that I actually genuinely despise. But I'm gonna get off that soapbox, because I could rant about it forever, but that's gonna be it for today. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Patreon, and we will see you next time. Okay, bye-bye. Annyeong.